So you're growing your business. You're doing the thing. It's actually growing. You're making more money. You're getting more clients. Everything seems to be going according to plan. But have you considered the amount of stress that you might be under? Have you considered an outlet? Have you even noticed? Has your spouse noticed? Well, in today's conversation, we're going to talk about all the different stress levels that come in with scaling and growing your business and having a healthy marriage at home at the same time.
You can just so easily get railroaded by other people's expectations, client demands, all of that. Like no one else is going to respect your boundaries but you. You have to put those things in place. You have to guard them.
The amount of stress that can have on you, it turns that dream, that vision into like a really heavy burden.
Ultimately, when you're stressed and tired and overworked, your discernment is lower. And so your guard is down. Do you have a coworker that you've been spending a little too much time with?
Alcohol. I might need the whole bottle after this day. The mistakes you made and that stress that's piling up, like there is hope and there's a way out. It's never too far gone. I'm Ben and I'm with my beautiful wife, Kristen. And about a decade ago, we built a 6-figure construction company that was on track and doing well. Well, we had one really bad job. And because at home we had no guardrails, we almost lost our marriage and we completely lost our business. But fast forward, now that we've spent thousands of dollars into our marriage is stronger than ever, and we have built a new construction company up to 7 figures. So depending on where you come from in life, whether you have a background in business or your dad or grandpa or whoever, somebody in your family had a business, or maybe you're starting completely from scratch. So depending on where you've come from in your life, you might think that money, if I can just make more money, then it's going to fix a lot of the problems. Because growing up poor, growing up just always grasping and desperate and trying to just make ends meet, you have a different grit inside of you. And I think as an entrepreneur that comes from nothing and then grows and scales and actually is successful, there's like a different like tenacity that they have, right? But sometimes you can bulldoze it through and create a great business, but like you miss the balance and the checks of some of those little stress checks.
When you come from that background, you can just have your eye on one thing, and that's the money. It's like my dream is to just make more money. If my family just has enough money to pay the bills, we have enough to go do whatever we want, then that'll fix everything. And so sometimes that can be almost our goal, is just reaching a certain level of revenue. And then we don't see the things that kind of creep in on the side that we start to neglect because we're so laser focused on just getting more money. And that's part of what led to the crash in the beginning of our first business. It was a really big job. And so I feel like a lot of it was just like, look at the dollar amount. And so, but not noticing all these other things. And then our relationship wasn't healthy already. And so you add the stress of the business and all the stress that comes in, and people respond to that differently. Some people have healthy rhythms in place to deal with stress, and a lot of people don't. And sometimes you don't even realize how it's affecting you in your day-to-day life until you crash and burn and hit this crazy burnout. And then you look back at like, wow, how unhealthy this pattern has been. So it's an important thing to have in mind, I'd say, before you start growing. But if you have already started growing, there's some really important opportunities. You have questions you need to ask, to do some health checkups on your own life individually, but then also on your marriage and in your family, to make sure that as you continue to grow, you're building it in a healthy way and you don't end up building a business that's going to destroy you and destroy your family.
Yeah, ultimately not having boundaries and not having healthy checks and rhythms will be your demise, like period. Eventually, it might be years down the road. Kids are out of college and all of a sudden, boom, you get that. That's when you get that divorce after 30 some years. Like, what? Like y'all been together for 30 years and you're getting a divorce now? Like, that's great. But it's because there's the no healthy rhythms and balances, and I guess you could say healthy outlets to some of those stress that come up with just business and running a business, obviously. And then, not saying that you're stressful, okay, but like
You would never say that.
but being in a relationship, like a healthy relationship, can have stressful moments. And I think when you say like, oh, we're in love or never, because it's like that like weird, we don't say that, but it's like, no, like you live with somebody full time, like, and then it's just you're just living in a world that like things rub you wrong, right?
With someone who's probably very different from you.
Right. And so like, you just kind of have friction some days. And then like those, but if you're not on it and you're not taking care of it, then the laundry not getting done, like that's going to be a flare up. You know, it's a stress thing, or dinner wasn't good or not cooked right or didn't have dinner planned. Like all of a sudden, like, wait, why are we fighting about this? It's because it's like those unhealthy, like unhealthy unchecks. Those like those can come up and creep up and then have those blow ups.
Yeah.
And so today we kind of I'm feeling for you. I'm feeling for the one that's growing and the one that like is just kind of letting things go like unchecked.
Or you think that money was going to fix everything and you're like, wait, why is my wife mad at me? Or why do I still have bills that I have to deal with and taxes, or just the regular stress that comes with any kind of business, but especially when you scale. Now, I think ultimately too, it depends on the industry that you're in and what kind of work you do. But if it's like client work and things like that, depending how you built your business, how you structured things, more business means probably more clients, which is more responsibility, which is more demands from clients. And so I think so much of like the entrepreneurial dream or fantasy, I guess, is like, I'm going to build my own business so I can do whatever I want. But now that you've built it, you're kind of enslaved to all these people, depending on the structure of your business, like we've said. And so if you don't have those guardrails and things to protect your time, protect your calendar. And again, if you get caught up in the money side of it, you can take on maybe a bigger job than you're ready for, or take on more clients than you can handle or have the capacity to in this season. And then you're missing the kids' soccer games that you used to swear you would never miss.
Right.
Or when was our last date night because I'm too busy, I have all these things going on. Or I'm traveling a lot. That's a big one too. If you have more client relationships, depending on what you're doing, speaking engagements, or you're going to different events and more opportunities are coming up, which is all really good stuff. But if it's out of alignment with the life that you wanted to build in the beginning, then those things can end up actually being harmful to you, not the blessing that you thought they would be. So
yeah, we chase this dream. I'm just speaking for myself too, because like we've lived it, walked it out, and blew that thing right up in our face, right in our face.
Yeah.
So just like because you build that dream of creating this like this freedom for your family, and like those intentions are always like pure, like the pure motives, right? Of like why you first started the thing was to create a different legacy for your family.
Yeah.
Because maybe it wasn't modeled for you well, so you're fighting against generational like things and trying to like break through all that. Or maybe you are living to the expectation of your parents, or your parents are successful and now you're like living in their shadow, but like you want to come up and try to be better or be successful too. Because I think I feel I've had those thoughts too, where like my dad had a successful construction company, and I wanted to like prove to him that like I can do it too, because needing the validation, you know, from your like a father's validation, right? So, and I'm sure we can probably line everybody up and this like down the line like of a father's validation is huge, and that could be a whole conversation about that, right?
The impact,
but the amount of stress that can have on you is like it turns that dream, that vision into like a really heavy burden because of the stress of just like the validation from your father of needing it, or like wanting to show or prove, or just kind of having that I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah. Just trying to live up to other people's expectations, I think, or even your own, whether it's realistic or unrealistic. And, just the expectation of a man to provide for his household too. There's the weight of that. And so, and especially, in our story, we went through a really rough patch before starting that. So like, utility bills getting threatened to shut off and that kind of thing. And so it's like to some point or to some degree in the beginning, it's just trying to pay the bills. And then after that, it's trying to grow it to this point of never getting back in that position again when you were struggling. And then depending on your motives, and I don't think anyone ever sets out with negative, like ill intent when they're growing a business like that, but it can be really easy to get distracted by money and opportunity and notoriety or fame, depending on your industry, and to just start chasing, well, how high can I get it? How big can I grow it? And kind of back to that, like it's all internal validation that you're seeking because you don't have it from somewhere else. Like you're looking for your identity in your success as a business owner. And so all of those things can put blinders on to what's actually important in your life. And especially like when you started the business in the first place, if that was your intention, was to have freedom for your family. If you don't check in about that regularly, especially in like speaking of the power of marriage, have a spouse that you can talk to that can check you on it. Like, hey, it seems like you're working a lot more than you used to, or it seems like you're taking more opportunities that you said that you wouldn't, or it seems like you're missing weekends a lot, or you're traveling more than you said. And to be able to have an open communication with each other like that, to where you're not getting defensive, but your spouse can call that out and just say like, hey, let's guard, like, remember why we started this in the first place. What was our vision for our life? This business was a means to accomplish that vision. And you can just so easily get railroaded by other people's expectations, client demands, all of that. Like no one else is going to respect your boundaries, but you. You have to put those things in place. You have to guard them and you have to enforce them. And otherwise, everyone's going to just run you over. So having those non-negotiables in your life to eliminate the stress that comes from that. Because you can look at like, we're doing it, we're growing, look at the money that's coming in, and not realize that as the money grows, so does the pressure, so do the demands, and here comes all this stress that I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah. Hey there, we hope you are enjoying this conversation. But hey, we had a quick question for you. Right now, currently, who is in your corner for your marriage? One thing we know about the top athletes, the top business owners, the top leaders, is that they all can't do it without the support.
That's right. And when it comes to a couple in business, it's the same way. Imagine what it could be like, even if you're not in crisis. Maybe everything's going great, but imagine what it could be like to have a couple in your corner, encouraging you and making sure you guys stay aligned as you continue down your path together.
Or maybe you are in crisis mode and you have no idea where to even start. Well, we can help you with that too.
There is going to be a link in the description below. You can click that link and you can go ahead and book a discovery call with us. We would love to get to know you, hear your story, and see if we might be a good fit to help you on your path moving forward. Let's get back into this conversation. In the beginning, you say employees, oh yeah, we'll have all these employees and we're going to take care of them. It's going to be awesome. And then you get there and now it's that every week or every month that payroll comes in and then payroll taxes. And then the demands of the employees aren't as all rainbows and butterflies like you thought it was going to be in the beginning, right? And then you think about the building. Oh, we're going to have an office space and it's going to be amazing. And then all of a sudden you get the office space and then there's a bill for that every month. And maintenance needed.
You got to pay for that, John. Yeah. And you're like, okay. So just the added stress, like those are those things that we're talking about, like those added stresses. If you don't address it, if you don't kind of maybe unpack some things, you can try to bury it and just make more money. Like they say, like more money, more problems. Like, well, yeah, there's because what happens is you make more money and then obviously you spend more because it's there. And in business, like there are things like write-offs and different things that it is wise to do for the write-off purposes versus just sitting on a bunch of money. But you have to be prepared for that, right?
Yeah. Which like these aren't bad things. They're normal parts of running a business. Like more bills, more cost, more higher taxes, like as you get a tax strategist in the business. But there's just all these different things that go along with growing a business that can feel stressful when you've never done them before. So I think it's especially if you're new, if you don't have a parent or a mentor or someone to follow their footsteps or be like advised in all of those things, then sometimes you're kind of caught off guard with it. And then it's like, it feels stressful, but it's like, it's not a big deal. You're bringing in the money. You just paid the bill. It's no big deal. It's just more bills than you used to have.
Yeah.
And the expenses are higher, but the revenue is higher. So, but it's so much of it goes back to your mindset too, especially if you came from nothing or didn't come from an entrepreneurial background, then it's your mindset having to shape and grow and change as you reach all these new levels. And so what used to be really hard when you were little, as you grow, that's no big deal. That's no problem at all. But now you have bigger things that stress you out.
Right.
And so it's going to come at every level of growth. And we grow internally as we grow externally. And sometimes those things don't happen at the same rate. And there's a learning curve to all of it. And so it just comes down to making sure you have healthy boundaries in place, because the stress is going to come. It's just, what are you going to do with it? Mm-hmm. And what is the stress? What are some of the ways that stress can show itself in your life, in your marriage, in your personal life? Yeah. Like the bad outlets, I guess. If you don't address it, how can it show up?
If you don't take your stress head on and have healthy outlets, I would say a couple heavy hitters. Number one would be alcohol.
Yeah.
Or potential drugs.
Yeah.
Which that then gets abused because it's an unhealthy outlet and then forms a bad habit.
Because you think I deserve this. Yeah.
Right. And I just need this to like kind of, cope, heavy day, whatever. I'm going to, and then if that's what your go-to always is, and then just that one glass isn't enough after a bit because like that day is heavier. I'm going to need 2. I might need the whole bottle after this day. And so that's your go-to. That's like an unhealthy habit, right? I would say overeating is one where you don't know, you're just stressing and you're eating. You maybe got that little fridge under your desk and that baby's just opened all the time with little snacks in your drawer.
Yeah.
Just going for it. Because you don't think, like, I feel like you don't, under eating, but I feel like with overeating, like you don't think about it at first.
Yeah.
I feel like you just kind of are doing it, and then all of a sudden, like your pants are a little bit tighter than they used, and like, dang, all right. And
what's wrong with my pants?
You're kind of like noticing certain things. You're like, what? And then you kind of look back, and you're like, oh shoot, like my eating is like way out of control, and you don't realize it because you're of that stress eating, right? And then obviously for men, and maybe for women too, you can speak to that, but like the porn, like, so like healthier habits, or like the porn addiction, trying to just find an outlet to like get rid of the stress. And then if you're looking for those kind of like the feeling things to get rid of your stress, it's just going to combined and make more of a issue.
Yeah. I'd say like gambling was one we were kind of talking about too.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Gambling, overspending, shopping, like upset. Because you can almost have this, I deserve this now. I guess that's with all of it, I had a really hard day. I deserve this now. But yeah, like porn's a big one. Another one would be like emotional infidelity, like with depending on, back to just healthy guardrails in your marriage is like the nature of your business and what you do. Do you have a coworker that you've been spending a little too much time with, or maybe someone of the opposite sex, or maybe someone, she understands you like your wife doesn't, or I can talk to her about this because she gets it because we're in the same field of work. Sure, I could talk to my wife, but like she gets it and we travel together and, like those kinds of, it's just ultimately when you're stressed and tired and overworked, your discernment is lower. And so your guard is down and you're not as keen to prevent things like that, I guess, or see those things coming. And so where normally you would be strong enough and smart enough to spot that, you kind of fall for those things. Yeah. And I don't think it's about, I don't think it's ever intentionally sought after, but I think as you neglect your mental health and your just all of that, then you can start to just drift into these unhealthy relationships or patterns of behavior until all of a sudden it's like a full-blown problem. And the way that affects your marriage is, I mean, that could be disastrous, you know?
Right. Yeah. Not having your guardrails up around your marriage is, it's devastating.
Mm-hmm.
And that's ultimately like, for some reason we like to, even if we're like stressed out, it's like the business stress like falls into like home stress, and then it's like now we like blurred lines between the two, and then like you're associated with the stress now, so I'm going to go to something else, so avoid dealing with it, avoid talking to you. Now I'm going to go to something else.
Mm-hmm.
Another outlet. And usually, well, pretty much 100% of the time, if it's another outlet that's not healthy, it's all destructive.
Yeah.
Like 100%. So what are some healthy habits? Let's get out of this negativity. We painted a beautiful picture for you guys, I hope. So what are some healthy habits? Like go-to healthy habits.
Insert the golfing commercial here.
You always got to throw in the golfing at least once, one conversation.
Yeah.
But sometimes maybe it is just as simple as like just going out on a hike, or everybody has a little different
exercise. I mean, the scientific like physical benefits to your brain for just moving your body, going out, getting fresh air, sunlight on your face, depending on where you live and what season it is, but like get your body moving. The endorphins that come from that, all of that. And it can be a place where you clear your head and you're thinking clearly, and or you zone out. Maybe you put in a podcast, like listen to a podcast or listen to music. And it's just a place where you have like your time, where you feel like you don't feel like people are demanding things from you. That's a big one. Even as a mom, I remember that helping me a lot as a new mom. Like when I felt really unhealthy for a bit after that, once I started exercising, it was like the one thing I could do for me, where no one's pulling on me, no one needs me right now. I'm going to do this for myself. And that like changed my life. So, and back to the eating thing, the food you eat has a lot to do with how you feel. And when your body feels sluggish and gross, that does not help anything. And then you put on the pants that are now too small, and it's like, how depressing is that? No one feels good when that happens. And here's more stress because now all these problems. Yeah. So eat healthy, drinking lots of water, taking a nap. Taking a nap can be or just like making sure you get enough sleep at night. I think, like don't just lay in bed at night and scroll your phone. That's actually really bad for you. That's also been proven. It's crazy. Like all the studies that are coming out now that cell phones have been around a little longer, but all the things that affect us negatively, just that bright light in the dark room as you're going to bed, and like what your brain does. Yeah. All those things. So I think also being in community is a big one. So whether you have one close friend or a group of friends, or, find a local church to get plugged into, go to the events. I think sometimes we can isolate when we feel overstretched or overcommitted or overworked. We can say like, well, I deserve to stay home, and I'm not going to go to that thing. I just need some chill time. I just need some me time. And actually that's isolating. And so not that 100% of the time it's not okay to, once in a while, like dip out on something just to have a little me time. But I think a lot of that, watch out, because there's a blurry line there of then you're just isolating. And when you're alone and you're isolating and you're just left with your thoughts, that doesn't usually lead to very good things either. So yeah,
it takes you straight down to those bad, unhealthy habits.
Yeah, you just spiral mentally or revert to things that are not healthy.
So ultimately, we have to start and develop healthy habits, because sometimes maybe we've never even thought about it, or never even attempted. And I think the number one thing that you can do right now, and just, it's like, I don't have really any good things. I kind of barely work out. I eat well sometimes. Like, don't stress. The number one thing to do right now to like help relieve some of that stress is communication with your spouse.
It's a big one.
I think that's like the number one thing that you can start on. Depending on where you're at on your growth track, where like just having those, we say this all the time, like having those tough conversations. Because maybe it has gotten far, right? Maybe you've gone down a path that you don't want to go down to anymore. Well, guess what? Like, it's not too late. Like, there's still breath in your lungs. You know, you're still in the relationship. Like, there's still time to make it right. There's still time to get out of the stress. Like, you don't need the medication. You don't need those bad, unhealthy habits. But it starts with the communicating with your spouse, because ultimately, like, this is the only thing that it's number one. It's the thing that matters the most. And so communicating things, just kind of seeing like, hey, where are we at?
Yeah.
And then if it's you, one of you have the business, operate the business, and the other one's at home, or maybe you both have a business, but just kind of like share those things, share what's going on with the business, share even like unhealthy customers or
Yeah.
different things that like you need to like an outlet to like talk about it. And obviously we're not dumping things onto our spouse, but we're like, it's a start to like just communicating it out and like getting it out of your system, like flush it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I think one of the biggest things can come from when you don't speak, then you assume that they don't understand, which is true because you didn't tell them what you're going through.
It's true.
And then you can all of a sudden, when you distance, that creates that disconnection. And so when you push them away and don't let them in on like being a team with you and helping kind of partner with you to get through a hard season or hard moment in business, whatever's going on, then your marriage becomes another stressor in your life. And it's like, yes, your marriage requires things of you. Like, yes, you need to show up for your spouse. You need to serve them. You need to carry your weight at home. You need to help with those kinds of things. But it shouldn't be a point of stress when you realize, like, that's one of the things that led to our demise in the beginning, our near demise of our marriage, but the business crumbling,
right,
was because we weren't on the same team once we hit that rough spot in business. And so I knew it was hard, but I didn't really know how you were processing that or what you're because we didn't talk. And so part of just the nature of what happened, there wasn't much time together because you were hustling to try to get this thing done. And it was like months long. We had small children at home that I was taking care of. And we just didn't understand what each other was going through. We looked at our own weight that we were carrying, and it was like every man for himself. I'm just going to worry about my stuff. He's going to figure out his stuff. And we just weren't a team in it. And I think since then, we've hit hard things in business. We've had ups and downs, but we've been able to communicate with each other about it so we can come along and support
like
one
right
another.
away though too.
Right away, yeah. And so like when it's small or when it first starts, so then I know you're going through something hard. So like, wait, how can I show up for you this week? How can I help you? What can I take off is there an errand I can run for you? I think that's a big part of not feeling alone in it.
Right.
And when you feel alone in it, it can magnify something that might not be that big of a deal, but you're not telling any. And so you're carrying the weight of it yourself. Whereas if you just voiced it to your spouse, the person who should be, on your team, like your biggest cheerleader, your best friend in sickness and health, in good times and bad, like you made those vows in the beginning. Well, now like give them a chance to show up for you. And open up and say that. And, men and women are different in the things that and people just have pride. And whether even like a woman might, be super independent. I don't need my man she might be married, but might still have that independent woman thing on the inside of her. Like, I'm not going to admit weakness because of whatever past relationship she's had or her parents growing up or something, which is kind of a defense mechanism ultimately. But we can not open up and share those things because we don't want to look weak. But it's like if you don't give your spouse an opportunity to show up for you, it's in those moments where we've grown closer together. That's where intimacy comes from. That's where your real strength comes from, is when we've been able to go through hard things together. We've walked through fires together, and you didn't feel alone because I was there with you.
Yeah, and we're not talking about, and also I want to speak to the husband as well, who says, I'm the provider, I'm the protector. I can't show my emotions to my spouse because she doesn't need that. She just needs me to provide and protect. Like, okay, sir, but now all your stress is leading to you having an affair and then ultimately leading to a divorce. So what would you rather do? Would you rather maybe connect with your spouse and, alleviate some of that stress, or don't tell her anything, don't have a conversation because she doesn't need that emotion. And now you go have either an emotional affair or a physical affair with somebody else.
Because you're looking for connection.
Because ultimately you might be the toughest dude out there. Your dad might have been the rudest, meanest guy to you, might have beat you with this bare hands belt, and it's developed you into something that like this tough guy, don't show emotion, provide, protect. Okay? I get it. Like we all have had some messed up like relationships. We've all some messed up ways that we have grown up and the way that things have been modeled for us. But the way to do it right, the way to actually have a successful marriage is connection between you and your spouse. Now, it doesn't mean like you have to share all these emotions and like, get all emotional. Like, no, not necessarily. But connecting and having conversation, like you don't have to get all emotional and cry and like how you're feeling. You don't start with this communication. Start with like, hey man, this client is jacked, and I'm just trying to like process this, like, and it's really like weighing me down and just bogging me down. And I don't know how to or you have a job that's going south and I don't know how we're going to get out of this one. And telling that to your spouse, she can have now better understanding of what in the heck is going on in your brain, what the heck is going on with your cold, harsh emotions.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to protect her, you're trying to provide for her, but like now you're getting hit with, your armor's getting all chinked up and clinked up and banged up because you're trying to protect her. You're trying to provide for her. And 100%, I get it. But like there has to be some kind of connection, and you have to start like that's when I said like we need it when we start with our spouse, connecting with you, my little honey. Like that's ultimately going to be so much healthier for me, for you as a husband to connect with your spouse, because connecting it with somebody else emotionally is very unhealthy and at risk for devastating things.
Yeah. And your wife wants that from you. And so it's totally just this construct in our minds, I think, in the man's mind, or vice versa, depending on the situation, that I have to continue to like put on this mask, I guess, here, but I can go be my true self with somebody else. And it's like your spouse should be like, that's what intimacy is. You share a bed. You might share children that share DNA with you, like you can do that, but you can't open up and have a conversation about something that's stressing you out. Like we crave that connection, and marriage is supposed to be the safest place in the world to get that. That's the way God designed it. And when we step outside of that, it's just absolute disaster. And so she's probably wanting that. She might be begging for it. I'm not saying and so for the women, you have to be really tactful about how you go about it, because I don't know. I'm trying to think of what's helped the best in our relationship with that. But me sitting there begging you, what's going on, honey? What's going on? Tell me everything.
Right.
Like that never helps, especially when you're in like crisis mode in your mind about something. But I think just being a safe place, take the demands off. Don't be nagging. Get him a gift, or like make him a nice dinner, or do something to serve him extra when because like when we know when you're stressed, we know when something's going on. You might not open up and say it, but we can see it. We can hear it in your tone. There's certain things about you, like we know you best. We live with you. I think just stepping out and kind of breaking the mold, that just love on them extra, serve them extra, and then create that safe space that when he does kind of relax, just say like, hey, is there anything going on? Or I've noticed, And so it's not in the heat of the moment. It's not in front of the kids. It's not when he's watching a football game, but when there's space and time to have that conversation. And I know, the goal isn't to problem solve necessarily. The goal is just to be heard and to connect. But there is sometimes an opportunity to problem solve too. So I think it's important to listen first rather than, and that goes both ways. Because sometimes like when I'm going through something and I tell you and you're like, well, why don't you just do this? And you almost like, I'm like, wait, you didn't even hear long enough to like see how I feel. And that's just, you know, men and women and the difference. But it's sometimes I just want someone to listen.
Right.
I don't want someone to problem solve. And yet there have been times when you've come to me and we've talked about a business situation together, and together we can share different perspectives. And then there's a plan to fix it. Or, hey, have you tried saying it like this? Or why don't you send an email to this? Or have you thought about doing this? And that can fix it, you know? So sometimes there's a time to listen. You know, this just takes discernment, I think,
Right.
and trial and error. But sometimes it is just listen. And sometimes you can also actually help each other through stuff. And it just requires opening up and sharing.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's a lifelong journey with your spouse. And business is fun. It's wild. It is stressful. It has its ups and downs. But now, like being able to do it with you, like the way that we are currently doing it and the way that we are encouraging you to do it, it's so much, it's freeing.
Yeah.
Like we can make a mistake. We can have a bad client. We could have a dip in revenue in a month, and like it's all good. Like, is it stressful still? Yeah, it comes with it. It's all part of the game. But at the end of the day, like you and I, 100% solid. There's no words that you can just put that into a little bow and a nice little package and put it under a tree. That's like the perfect thing, because it is the perfect thing.
That's what matters most.
That is 100% what matters most. Because then when we start another business, like we're starting it on the right foot, like from the beginning. So it's like it's easier, and it's like, well, this is actually more fun, and like now we're cruising along, and because we've learned the hard things, we've done them the wrong way for a long time, and then now we've put a lot of work into doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And the right way is just so much better. And ultimately that's what we desperately want for anybody listening to this, that you do things the right way, that no matter how far you've gone in your marriage and the mistakes you made and that stress that's piling up, like there is hope and there's a way out. Like it's never too far gone.
Yeah.
Like we've heard too many amazing testimonies from not just our own, but like close friends and people that we are in communication with, that it's like there's not a story that like can't be fixed and can't be changed.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. It just takes both people wanting to.
Yeah. That's the ultimately right. That's the thing. Like you both have to want it. And so and then I guess I'm just thinking about the man right now, and I'm trying not to like be rude and like say things that are like
maybe he needs to hear it.
Maybe he does, but maybe I'm also trying to like, watch my tone.
We'll do a part 2.
Maybe I'll just
watch if you
do a reel or something, but because I just hear a lot of like guys, like the chatter of, the tough guy and, I'm the man, and it's just cringeworthy, and I think I don't want to blow it up.
What that is rooted in, though, is insecurity. And so no one wants to hear that, but and we've dealt with this individually too, like on our own. Any of those things come from insecurity. And so it's like, what are you placing your value and your identity in? And once you know that, and that is sure, and that is true, and like we are people of faith and we know our identity is in Christ, like that's what matters most. So against any bad client review or mistake in business or anything like that, like none of those things, the dollar amount in my bank account doesn't determine my value. I'm a child of God. And so there's so many people that deal with trying to maintain an image because they want validation. They want the applause from people. They want the success. They want the name on the corner office of the high-rise building downtown, and they think that they're going to feel good when they get that, and they're not, because then what's next after that? Once you get that, what's next? Because you're going to find out that that's empty. And so anything where we're trying to maintain an image for perception, to be the tough guy, to be, I have it all together, I don't have any weaknesses, I never make a mistake, I never need help, like it's all very false. Yeah.
I mean, you said that really.
Well, I tried. I'm softening what you want to say.
You're welcome. She's softening what I want to say, because what I wanted to say is nothing. Oh, it was that, but 10 times probably.
Well, some
But
people might need to hear it that way.
some people might, but
I think it comes from a place of
message.
compassion because we've seen it and we've experienced it and we've lived it. And when you don't know who you are, that's how that shows up, And so
100%.
And it comes from the way you were raised. It comes from your family. It comes from childhood. It comes from what people spoke over you and voids you have in your life. And we all have a story and we all come from somewhere. And that can show itself. That follows us our whole life if we let it, if we don't address it and don't deal with those things. So I think that's the starting place. If you can't open up and ask for help, or if you can't be honest with your spouse about a simple thing that you're going through, you have to look inside first,
Yeah. Because if you can't connect with your spouse, then there's a lot of unpacking that you need to do inside yourself. And that might come with counseling, or that might come with just a good connection of a friend or a coach or whoever, whatever the outlet is that you needed to go to. I would encourage you to do it. Because holding it in is not healthy at all. And then because it's going to come out, and then it's going to come out and you're going to do something that you don't want to do. And then you're going to develop a bad habit. And hopefully it doesn't lead to a divorce, because it's the habits that you are, making worse daily because you refuse to, talk about something or relieve that stress into a good, healthy habit.
And it doesn't need to. I'm thinking about the most destructive thought patterns I went down in my head in a season where you felt cold or distant to me because you were dealing with stress and we weren't talking about it. I built that up so high in my head, like it was this huge thing. We're not going to make it. And it was one conversation. We had one conversation where you opened up and said something about what you're going through, and we were able to connect. And then we were instantly back on the same team. Not that it was super easy after that, because you still have work to do,
Right.
But I understood you in a different way. We understood each other in a different way. And we were on the path to getting right again. Whereas I thought we were about to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we can build it up in our head so much, like this is going to end everything. We can't recover. We can't make it through this. And that's not true. A lot of times it's one conversation of just being honest, and have a counselor, have a mediator, have someone that's there to kind of help you along in that conversation. If that's not normal for you guys, then it can be fixed.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed this conversation. We hope that it shines some light onto maybe some things that you need to deal with and go to the healthier side of habits of dealing with the stress that business and just life brings. Stress happens, it's okay, but how you deal with it, that's what matters. And so go to the healthy habits. Start today, healthy habits, so that you can have a long, successful business and a beautiful marriage. See you next time.